Despite not necessarily being the prettiest of heroes, in a conventional sense at least, Deadpool still ends up probably making the hottest supers list, at least if we're considering how many quality love interests he's managed to have over the years. Join me as we count down the top 10 Deadpool love interests. Number 10. Rogue. Rogue wasn't so much a major love interest for Deadpool, but she definitely had a fun, brief fling during time apart from her usual main squeeze, Gambit. Rogue and Wade shared a juicy kiss, and because of her powers, she briefly made Wade handsome once more and took away his powers for a short time following said kiss. This actually also made Rogue's skin look like Wade's when he has his power set. It was a brief moment in Uncanny Avengers issue 22, but their short flirtation was pretty cute, I gotta say. Initially, Wade thought he would never be good enough for Rogue and implied that she only probably liked him because she didn't know him very well. And she responded by kissing him again, this time probing his mind a little bit, but confirming that his thoughts didn't really disturb her and that she still liked him. I also just love that cute moment. He's like, I don't know, I'm pretty wild. And then she kisses him and she's like, yeah, but I'm a little shocked, but mostly I'm fine. I'm Rogue. I've seen some stuff. Number 9. Outlaw. Outlaw is Inez Temple, a mutant mercenary and sometimes bodyguard. She has interacted with Deadpool a few times in the comics. After her apartment was destroyed in a fight between the Punisher and Deadpool when Wade had come calling for her help, he felt pretty bad about it and worked hard to buy her a new one as an apology. Outlaw realized that Deadpool really cared for her and the two ended up sleeping together. They would later also be briefly married, but it wouldn't end up working out. Outlaw's super strength ended up being a bit too much for Deadpool during those moments of passion, and so their marriage was annulled shortly thereafter. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want another Deadpool love interest list, he's been with a lot of people, so I'm pretty sure I could do that. Be sure to let us know you want more Deadpool love interest by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Captain America. While their love might not be romantic in nature most of the time, Captain America is definitely a character that Wade loves to bits. I say most of the time, but definitely all of the time. I don't think they've ever been in a romantic relationship, but Deadpool definitely still loves Captain America. In fact, Deadpool loved Cap so much that even when he had been replaced with a Hydra sleeper agent, Deadpool still followed him pretty much without question, which didn't work out so great for Deadpool, sadly. The real Captain America had been replaced by a Hydra sleeper agent, who was created by a sentient version of the Cosmic Cube named Kobuk, who altered reality by changing Cap's allegiance, believing it was the right thing to do at that time. As such, Steve Rogers would go on to conquer America and become Hydra Supreme. Or that version of Steve Rogers anyways. It was only when it was too late that Deadpool realized the error of his ways. His love of Captain America had blinded him and really led him astray that time, and left him so hurt afterwards that he ended up drowning himself in mind wipe drugs, completely wiping his mind of many of his own past adventures. Sometimes love hurts. Number 7. Carmelita Camacho. Carmelita Camacho and Deadpool only had a very brief romance that was really kind of like a one-night stand. Carmelita and Deadpool both ended up captured together by the White Man, who the heroes for hire, who were accompanied by Deadpool at the time, had been hired to stop. Believing that these could be her last moments, Carmelita decided to go out with love and made love to Deadpool. However, later when Deadpool took off his mask once White Man was defeated, Carmelita ran from him in terror because, you know, this thing. It turns out, however, this brief time of passion resulted in Carmelita becoming pregnant. She gave birth to Deadpool's daughter, Eleanor Camacho. Later on, Carmelita would end up dead after being kidnapped by the villain the Butler as payback. Eleanor, however, lives on, and Deadpool does his best to be a good dad to her when he can, often fighting to keep her safe from his own enemies. But also, Eleanor might be someone super powerful in the future, so hopefully we get to see more of Eleanor. She's super cool. Number 6. Siryn. Siryn and Deadpool were actually for a time both romantically interested somewhat in the other. They had a brief romance, but would also at times come back together in the comics. Siryn is Teresa Cassidy, the daughter of Sean Cassidy, aka Banshee. When Siryn found herself depowered, Deadpool was the one who attempted to return her power to her. However, his methods were somewhat questionable. He kidnapped Wolverine and used his healing factor to help restore Siryn's sonic vocal powers. It worked, but Wolverine wasn't very happy by the end of that process. And while Siryn was grateful to Deadpool for his help, she also didn't agree with his method. She was like, maybe don't, capture Wolverine to do that next time. The two have remained friends in the comics and have been known to be friends with benefits at times. Number 5. Lady Death. That's right, at one point Deadpool ends up falling in love with Lady Death, probably one of the women who would really be the hardest for him to end up with, considering his powerful healing factor. But also, as someone who can't die, it would make sense that the allure of Lady Death would sufficiently seduce him. The really wild thing is that Lady Death was also like super into Deadpool and wanted to be with him romantically. Unfortunately, Thanos became quite jealous of Deadpool's relationship with his ultimate crush. In order to keep the two apart, Thanos cursed Deadpool with immortality. So now not only did Deadpool have an impossibly high healing factor, which generally made him dying highly improbable, but now, with immortality, it was virtually impossible for Deadpool to perish. Eventually, Deadpool would regain his mortality and would also at one point use his connection to Death to convince her to restore the concept of mortality to the world after it had been taken away. Number 4. Copycat. Well, you might think you know Vanessa from the Deadpool movies. In the comics, Vanessa Carlysle is quite a bit different than her cinematic counterpart. She is the mutant mercenary known as Copycat. In the comics, her mutant power allows her to perfectly replicate the appearance, personality, and even DNA of any other humanoid being. Like in the movies, for a brief time she and Wade were in love and happy together. And like in the movies, Wade left Vanessa when he learned he had cancer. The two, however, would tragically be reunited while on opposite sides of a conflict. Vanessa would become a mercenary and was tasked with infiltrating and killing the X-Force while impersonating Domino. When she couldn't bring herself to follow through with the hit though, Deadpool was sent to make sure that she did. She decided to side with the X-Force and fought against Deadpool. In the end, the two would end up back together, but ultimately Deadpool would be hired to kill Copycat later on. When he couldn't bring himself to follow through with that, other agents were sent in to make sure Copycat died. Sabretooth delivered the killing blow, and she died, tragically, in Deadpool's arms. Or so it would seem. She'd later show up alive and well without explanation in the comics, still seemingly possessing her mutant powers somehow. Who knows what happened? I don't know if we know that yet, but she's alive again, and I'm sure one day we'll find out what happened. Number 3. Shiklah. Shiklah was actually the wife of Deadpool for a time. He was hired to bring her to Dracula, who she was actually supposed to marry, but along the way, she fell in love with Deadpool. Sort of like a weird and maybe grosser version of Shrek, perhaps? Not like Deadpool's a grosser version of Shrek? Like that whole narrative sounds like a maybe grosser version of Shrek. The two would end up deciding to stay together and get married. It was fun for a while, but eventually Shiklah became resentful of the world above. She was the ruler of the monsters, and as such lived in the underworld. Deadpool's long absences from her only intensified her feelings of resentment, and eventually she launched an attack on the surface world. Deadpool ended up joining up with Dracula to stop her, and after she was defeated, Dracula proposed marriage to Shiklah, who agreed, thereby stealing her right back from Deadpool and nullifying Wade and Shiklah's marriage. Number 2. Vanessa Carlysle. Vanessa is the partner of Deadpool in the cinematic Deadpool universe, which might also end up being the MCU eventually. Or it might be the MCU now, I'm not sure. After all, we did see Deadpool and Korg do a reaction video together for Free Guy, so Deadpool is at least part of the MCU YouTube verse now. Vanessa Carlysle, like Wade, also seemed to grow up having a hard life. The two actually bond over their tragic childhoods and traumatic life experiences, often trying to one-up each other in regards to who had it worse growing up. A competition really no one wins in the end. Wade at first paid Vanessa for her time, but instead of paying to sleep with her, the service she typically charged for, he used the time he'd bought to take her out on a date instead. The two ended up falling in love and eventually would become engaged as their relationship continued to blossom. Even after Wade was diagnosed with cancer and left her to try and heal in secret, but ended up instead being experimented on and ultimately becoming the anti-hero Deadpool, Vanessa still wanted to be with him, which is pretty understanding. Though of course she was mad that he had left her. In Deadpool 2, Vanessa is killed at the beginning of the movie, but ends up being saved at the end by Deadpool, who fixes and uses Cable's time travel device so that he can go back and save her. Yay! So she only kind of got fridged, but not full fridged, so yay! Number 1. Elsa Bloodstone. Probably one of his more recent romantic interests has been Elsa Bloodstone in the comics. She teamed up with him in a recent series where he became the King of Staten Island and the King of Monsters. Despite Wade doubting his own capability to be a good king, Elsa believes in him. This probably is a big reason why Deadpool found himself developing feelings for Elsa Bloodstone. He sacrificed himself to save her when it was revealed that her bloodstone had become corrupted and was basically killing her. Deadpool Deadpool took her Bloodstone in order to free Elsa and save her life. Through taking it, Wade also helped to reverse the corruption so that when Elsa came back to look for him following a battle with the Bone Beast Queen, she was able to take back the Bloodstone once more without having to fear for her own life. As such, Elsa finished off the Queen, retrieving Deadpool and confessing her own feelings for him, giving him a big kiss. When he seemingly awoke, revealing that he wasn't dead yet, she then decided to stay with Deadpool while he regenerated the rest of his body, as at that time all that was left of him was a disembodied head. A very gross disembodied head. And I love that Elsa was like, I don't care. You're gross, but it's fine. I know monsters. I'm cool. Who do you think Deadpool loves more, Captain America or Spider-Man? Do you like the ship between him and Elsa Bloodstone? I personally think they're super cute together. Who is your favorite romantic partner for Wade in the comics or in the cinematic universe? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.